Hello and welcome to the channel and welcome to another episode of Heretic Dave Top Tips, and I am Heretic Dave. In this playlist already I've done videos on deployment, how to deploy your army in a way that would, give you an edge, I guess, a competitive edge in that sense. Don't just put things out in the open, things like that. How to set up a nice terrain layout. I've done a video on that as well. I've also done a video on how to go about creating an army list, specifically for match play missions and so on. This one is going to be about how to improve your 40k event experience. I'm specifically not going to say tournaments because not every 40k event is a tournament, but it would help with that as well. These are some simple tips that you can take and use, and it will improve your overall experience, and maybe, if it's a tournament, give you a competitive edge. Who knows? So we'll go through some simple things that some people will think are obvious, but some people maybe don't think about, and can maybe apply it in future. Before we go into and talk about those things that can help you at 40k events and give you a better experience, feel free to smash the like button if you like this video. If you want to see more videos, I do a battle report or something normally every single week. Hit that subscribe button to not miss them. And if you want to support the channel further, you can become a YouTube channel member. So yes, what can you do to improve your 40k tournament / event experience? The first thing to do is normally buy your ticket, and normally once you've bought your ticket for the event, whether it be on BCP, the Best Coast Pairings app, or through other means, most tournament organisers, or TOs as tournament goers call them, normally provide something called a mission pack or a tournament pack or something like that, which goes through explaining the things around the event, such as where it's going to be, what time do you have to turn up, how do we register, FAQs regarding the tournament or event and lists and things. It normally mentions the missions you're going to be playing for that event. Normally for most tournaments, most TOs normally put in the mission pack what missions will be played. So that's something that you definitely want to read, so you're aware of what missions you're going to be playing. For some other events, like narrative events, you might just turn up and find out on the day. But it's always worth reading through the mission pack to ensure you know what is going on, where you need to be, when you need to be there, and all those sorts of things. So read the mission pack. If it is a mission pack which tells you what missions you're going to be doing, familiarise yourself with those missions. If they're bespoke narrative missions, maybe have a couple of practice games with them so you know what's going on. Whether it's just to improve your chances of winning or just so that you know what's going on so it's more enjoyable on the day, it might be worth familiarising yourself with the missions. If it's a tournament, and for example, you're given these options, you might want to play a game with these options so you know what you're doing. So you familiarise yourself with the missions that you're going to be playing on the day so you know what's going on. It gives you a competitive edge, I guess, maybe, and it just generally makes it more enjoyable and less confusing on the day. So if you know the missions, familiarise yourself with them. Oh, it's a really complicated word to say a lot. Familiarise. Another thing you might want to do if you have a really custom-looking army, you're definitely into your conversions, kit bashes, all those sorts of things. Always check with the TO prior to list submission that this model can be proxies as that model, and it's all okay. Most TOs are normally fine if the proxy model is on the same size base as the actual model and it takes up the same amount of space, kind of. So wants to be similar in terms of height and things like that. So yeah, it's always worth checking the proxies out as well. For example, this is my Lord Solar Leontus. He's on the same base as Lord Solar Leontus. He's not as tall though, so most TOs will probably say no. And to be honest, I don't normally take guarded tournament anyway, so it's not a problem for me. But if you do little conversion-y things like this, or kit bashes or proxies, always worth checking. While I'm over here looking at my list for the game later today, another thing to do is familiarise yourself with your list. So normally for tournaments and events, you normally have like a list idea in your head. You put the list down and you think, oh, that'll do fine. I'll take that to the event. Yeah, you can do that, but it's probably worth playing a few games with it first to familiarise yourself with the stats, the strats, what different units in your list should be doing for the missions and so on. And it gives you an opportunity to tinker your list slightly. So you might think, oh, every game I've played with this list, that unit has been completely useless. I'll drop it, put something else in. And then whenever you've settled on your final list, play a few games with it. Get your reps in, as some people say. Get your reps in. So, you get your final list, play a few games with that, with the missions, if you know them already for the event. Again, it helps the fun factor, the experience. You don't have to be looking at rules every 5 minutes. You know your stats, you know your strats, you know all your things. Get familiar with what you're taking on the day, or days, or weekend, or whatever it is. Familiarise yourselves. That word came up again. Familiarise. Familiarise yourself with your army and how it plays. Get your reps in. Another thing to mention about lists is do not make last minute changes unless you're going back to a version of the list you've played previously and you sort of know about it. Don't make a last minute change, completely change your list or completely change your faction or something else. It's just not worth it. Stick with what you know and then just get the best out of your list. If you want to take a different list, take it to the next event and get your reps in. Do not make last minute changes. Things will go bad, horribly bad, terribly bad. Once you have familiarised yourself with your army or your list or whatever it is, familiarise yourself with the missions. I've mentioned that already, but get used to your mission plan, if you like. So, for example, with this list, I know exactly that Lord Solar and his unit are going to be sitting on the home objective all game. That's their job. I've got ghosts going up and down. That unit's going to run sit on an objective somewhere. That unit's going to be in reserves and probably pop on and do an action or something. Make sure you've got a plan. Because there's no plan like a no plan. And if you don't plan, then, if you don't plan to prepare to fail or something. Have a plan, is what I'm trying to say. One more thing that I will mention, there's a few more things. But while we're over here looking at an army, another thing you do have to think about is how are you going to transport this army between tables? Because not very often at an event will you be at the same table for the whole event. You normally have to be walking around with it. This is something that I sort of discovered myself, especially with Imperial Guard. Or Astra Militarum. It's quite a horde army, whether it's tanks or infantry, it's a lot of models. You're going to have to figure out an easy way of transporting it around. So, take some trays with you or big lids of your boxes or something. Or, if you've magnetised your bases, that's great because you can take like a couple of tea trays. Make your army easy to pick up and move around is definitely something worth thinking about. That's about everything now with regards to army lists, but there are a couple more things to think about for events. First and foremost, if you're travelling somewhere and it's quite a distance, you probably want to stay somewhere nearby overnight, so you're not waking up at ridiculous o'clock in the morning to travel there. And that sort of goes in hand with the next thing, which is make sure you get a good rest the day before, because playing 3-4 games in a day can be quite tiring, funnily enough, mentally and physically. It's a lot of standing up, it's a lot of walking around, it's a lot of thinking. Make sure you get a good rest beforehand. And on that note, to make it less physically tiring, you might not notice it early on in the event, but later on in the event your legs will start aching, most probably. So, my advice, while your opponent's having their command and movement phase, sit down. It seems so silly and obvious, but sit down. Your legs will be aching. If you stand on your feet for an entire day without sitting down, your legs will be aching by the time you get to that second, third, fourth game of the day, and you'll be wishing you sat down earlier on. So just sit down while they're doing the command and movement phase. Even if it's 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. Sit down. Have a breather. Have a bit of a drink. Whatever. You will be glad that you did later on in that event. So yeah, sit down. And most importantly, have fun and enjoy it. Don't be that guy who wants to argue and moan about everything. Just play to the rules as they are. Have fun. Enjoy it. Have a bit of banter with your opponent if they're that sort of person and that they like having a laugh. I always have a bit of a laugh. It's more fun then, because at the end of the day, I want to enjoy my experience. I don't want to go there and just be like a robot. Beat bop. Don't play AdMac. But yeah, enjoy it, have fun, have a, you never know, you might make some friends. Who knows? Friends in 40k, which is a sociable game. Talking comes in handy. And yeah, don't be that guy who's really... how to put this without being rude. Don't be annoying when it comes to rules and things. If there's... Play by the rules as they are written. If someone's made a mistake and forgotten something, just simply say, sorry, it's gone past that moment. It's too late. So for example... I don't know, you're halfway through the shooting phase and someone's saying like, oh no, I forgot to move that model so it could see that unit, or I forgot to do this, or bring that unit on from reserves halfway through the shooting phase. Like, I'm terribly sorry, it is too late. It just is, because it could have affected other things, because, you might have then decided to rapid ingress something, or it might have affected some of the shooting phase. You might have decided to do like a strat like Armor of Contempt, or pop in smoke, or it affects too many things. If, let's say, I don't know, for example, you're halfway, you've done the charge phase, they've started fighting with one unit over there, and then after that fight, you suddenly realise, oh, hang on, I was supposed to charge that unit over there. That's kind of okay. It doesn't make a difference to what's already happened in the fight phase. Or, if someone says during the movement phase, they're putting down a unit next to the table and go, right, I'm going to deep strike this unit this turn. And they do all the movement phase, and then they start this. Sometimes if they're like, yeah, I'm going to deep strike this unit just over there to do an action or something, and they forget, and it's halfway through the shooting phase, and like, oh, I did say they were going to come down and do the action, is that all right? If they've said it, there's obviously an intent, and they've literally just forgot. If they're literally a unit that's coming in to do an action or something, it's not going to affect the rest of the shooting phase. Let them have it. But if it's a unit that's going to impact the shooting phase, then it's probably not. So be nice, because give and take. But at the same time, people do forget things. People do make mistakes. Sometimes you just have to apologise and say, sorry, it's kind of too late. Don't be a bit of an arse about it. As for rules and things, if there's any arguments or debates going on, just get a TO over and get the TO to decide, even if it's not in your favour, because it means that you're not the bad guy. The TO is, kind of, if they rule against them. That kind of thing. But yeah, most importantly, have fun, enjoy it. It's an event. You paid money to go there. You go play with your toys that you spent loads of money on. I say toys, toy soldiers. You spent loads of money building them, painting them. You spent money on the ticket. You probably spent money on travel, staying the night, food. You're paying lots of money for an event to enjoy it. Don't go there and not enjoy it. So yeah, have fun, enjoy the experience, learn from it for the next time. Maybe, who knows. But yeah, they're my sort of top tips for tournaments and events and things, and what to do in certain scenarios to try and improve your 40k event experience. I hope that's been very useful. If you can think of anything else, feel free to leave a comment below. I think I've covered most things. But if not, then yeah, comment below. And if you want to see any other Heretic Dave top tips videos and you want a suggested topic, then feel free to comment that below as well, and I might do a video on that topic in the future. So yes, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.